very good morning to all my fellow friends and our beloved lecturer, Madam Binti. So today we are going to present about effort proposed by ASEAN to create a peaceful and stable region in all of its summit. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Noor Zakirah Binti Mohamad Rashid.
My name is Nurul Afifah Binti Burhan.
Okay, so we proceed to the first efforts made by ASEAN country.
Okay, for the first is Zokfan. Zokfan is referred for the words of Zone of Peace, Freedom and Neutrality. Countries included in the national Zokfan are Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore and Thailand. Zokfan was announced on 27 November 1971 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Okay, Zokfan was declared at the ASEAN countries to build a regional resilience that free from interference by external power. And the goals of the Zokfan is to free from any military that include any weapons or any nuclear that can make a difference in our country. Our song is Negaraku and our national anthem is Jalur Gemilang. The system of government in our country is Raja Berperlembagaan. For the capital P, it stands for peace. The possibility of harmonious and orderly relation between members of the nation. If diplomatic relations continue, their country will help each other no matter what, their contribution or assistance. Okay, for an example, in our country, Malaysia denied the use of revolutionary technique because it contradicts with the goals of Zokfan, which is no any war or military in our countries. Okay, for an example, Malaysia get the independence using diplomacy approach. The diplomacy approach means a group of people make negotiation skills, dealing and meeting with each other to get the independence. Okay, for the Z capital is equal to the meaning of the zone. Okay, every single zone has a national identity and individuals' independence and integrity. Each country will have its own country icon, national anthem, and a system of government that will be the foundation for their people to follow. Okay, for an example, in our country, Malaysia, when we want to independence, Dr. Mohd go to the United States and make a meeting that use a diplomacy approach. That means that the diplomacy approach means that a meeting that include a discussion with. Okay, for capital P stands for peace. Means the possibility of harmonious and orderly relation between members of the nation. If your diplomatic relation continue, their country will help each other no matter what their contribution or assistance. Means that in Zokfan, there is no any weapons or any nuclear that exists in our country. Okay, for an example, in our country, Malaysia denied the use of revolutionary technique because it contradicts with the goals of Zokfan, which is no any war or military in our countries. Okay, for an example, Malaysia get the independence using diplomacy approach. The diplomacy approach means a group of people make negotiation skills, dealing and meeting with each other to get the independence.
Okay, next we go to the capital F, which refers to freedom. Freedom of member international location from control, domination or interference by using different states in the conduct of inner or external affairs. Which means freedom, one country have to be free in terms of doing decision in one country. For example, Malaysia can do their own policy without interference from other country, which is no suggestion or recommendation from other country to influence Malaysia to do it so. In this context, Malaysia's national security refers to a nation of being free from any threats, whether internal or external, to its core value. As we know, in Malaysia itself, have an NSP, National Security Policy. Go to the next, capital N stands for neutrality. Neutrality means they do not have any side of the truth or the wrong ones, which is neutrality is to ensure they are impartially and maintain from involvement direct or indirect in conflict of ideology, political, economy and military between power outside of the zone, which means ASEAN countries need to have neutrality in any conflicts or disputes happen in the world or ASEAN country, which is they have to be really cannot decide professional. They cannot decide which side they have to be and which side they have to be to blame for. For example, the disputes in the South China Sea. It becomes a major concern for our Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad about the tension in the South China Sea because of the existence of China and US warships. Tun Dr. Mahathir is clearly about wanting Malaysia and China relation is in a very good relation. To be about mostly about economic growth. As we know, we have diplomatic and with China the most, but not about internal affairs. So this can be said that to Dr. Mahathir and also Malaysia be neutral to US and China, which means Malaysia does not decide to be in the side of China and also not to decide to be side in US, United States.
So we have already explained about Zofan.
So do you guys understand?
Okay, hi, my name is Noor and Khairul, and I will explain about the second effort that proposed by the ASEAN, which is Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, which stems from TAC. TAC was introduced on 24 February 1976 during first ASEAN Summit, which was held at Bali, Indonesia. TAC was a peace treaty among Southeast ASEAN countries. TAC also is the first agreement that had been signed by the ASEAN members, which come from 5 original member ASEAN, which are Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. Okay, as you can see on the screen, this is the proof that have been signed by the members. Okay, for the article or elements, actually the points are quite similar with Sabrina, which will explain about ASEAN Charter. So there will be some points that will explain by me and others will be explained by Sabrina. Okay, for the first element, mutual respect for independence, sovereignty, equality, territorial integrity and national identity of all nations. Okay. Every country has their own things that show that they as a country. So, such as territorial integrity and sovereignty. The issues that can be seen during Filipina declared Sabah as their area. In 1878, Sulu Sultanates hands over Sabah to British, which eventually gave to the Federation of Malaysia that formed from the combinations of British colonizers, Sabah, Sarawak, Singapore and Malaya. Malaysia has never colonized Sabah since it was acquired from the Cobalt Commissions, and Sabah has volunteered to join the Malaysia during that times. So Filipina cannot claim Sabah. For the second point, the right of every state to its national existence free from external interference, submissions or coercions. These points will be explained by Sabrina because our point is quite similar, just I told just now. For the third elements, non-interference in internal affairs of one another. If a country is in trouble, the ASEAN acts as the advisor because they do not want to make the situation become more worse. So, for example, Rohingya were evicted from the Myanmar because they were clashed with the Buddhists. So, ASEAN country deals with this issue while Thailand provides the medical treatments and protections, Brunei give financial support, and Indonesia provide temporary protections in appropriate area, but only for 1 year. So they cannot intervene in Rohingya issues because it was a matter of Myanmar. For the fourth point, settlement of differences or dispute by peaceful means. This can be shown during Malaysia become the head of the SEA Games 2017, which accidentally printing Indonesia flag upside down. This caused the anger of Indonesians, and they feel that Malaysia broken our friendships. Malaysian Youth and Sports Minister during that time, Khairul apologized for the Indonesia and reprinted the event handbook correctly. President Indonesia Jokowi already forgave Malaysia and asked for the Indonesia to not overreact for the mistake that have been made by Malaysia. Okay, for the fifth, renunciations of the threat or use the force. Actually, this kind of force were not rarely used by nowadays. So, I will explain about that. For the last point, effective cooperation among themselves. The ASEAN countries are located close to each other, right? So, if a country is facing problem, and it will affecting the countries surrounding, help will be provided by them. So this requires good cooperation between ASEAN members to overcome the problem. For example, a problem about haze pollution. Indonesia is the cause of this problem because their forests were burned, and this gives a devastating effect to the countries surrounding like Malaysia, Brunei and Singapore. So these surrounding countries took steps which Malaysia assist in cloud seeding, and Brunei provided the jet to assist the process, and Singapore provide capital to settle down these problems. That's all from me.
Hi everyone, so now I will explain the third efforts that proposed by the ASEAN to ensure peaceful and stable in the region. So my point is ASEAN Declaration on South China Sea. This declaration was adopted by ASEAN Foreign Minister in 1992. Strategic interest in South China Sea has triggered the dispute over the claims of ASEAN members and others which have no claims. As it has been in the past, China afraid that their water are used to threaten or attack it from the southeast, while for Vietnam ensured their position is protected from being virtually controlled by China power, where it was conflict for many decades. Next is Philippines. Philippines demanding on extension of its jurisdictional responsibility to the West. And the last one is Brunei has to secure itself the resources in its claimed exclusive economic zone, or known as EEZ, and continental shelf. And for the last point, for the background and factors that causes the ASEAN Declaration on the South China Sea is the animosity between China and Vietnam to arise. The animosity arises because of the China and Vietnam War that happened in 1988.
the naval battle in the Sprite is the purpose of China to give a lesson to Vietnam. In conclusion, the naval battle had killed 64 Vietnamese naval and also sunk their 2 ships. Besides that, some of the naval of Vietnam also were shot while they are standing on a reef. So next we move on to the content of the declaration. There are total 5 content in the declaration. The first one is to emphasize the necessity to resolve all sovereignty and jurisdictional issues pertaining to the South China Sea by peaceful means. It means without resort to force. As an example, as we know, the dispute happened in Spratly Island. The example can be used when Brunei come out with 3 approaches to solve the dispute with China. The first approach was done because Brunei does not rank that the South China Sea as its topmost foreign policy. And Brunei also believes that the issue will not become an obstacle to have a better relation with other claimants. And lastly, Brunei is more likely to stay neutral to ensure that the China remains on good terms with other claimants.
So we move on to the second content is urge all parties concerned to exercise restraint with the view to creating a positive climate for all the eventual resolution of all disputes. The disputes happened in the South China Sea was a complicated issue and cannot be solved by a one particular solution. Hence, in 1982, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, also known as UN CLOS, has been used to solve the dispute. Each country involved have their own territorial claims as the eventual delimitation in solving the claimant's dispute. We move on to the third content is resolve without prejudicing the sovereignty and jurisdiction.
As we see, the content of the third content is very long and I will explain it in a simple way. To conclude the third content in this declaration, COC, Code of Conduct, was introduced 4 years after the disputes that happened in 1992. The discussion on a potential COC has become one of the essential ways to manage the dispute happened in South China Sea, maritime and territorial disputes. This is because the process of COC is more focused on the idea of COC will not be successful without the cooperation of all the countries that involved in the South China Sea dispute. So next we move on to the fourth content of the declaration, which is command all parties concerned to apply the principles contained in the Treaty of Amity and cooperation in Southeast Asia as the basis for establishing a code of international conduct over the South China Sea. As all of you already know that TAC is a basis to all the Southeast Asia to follow. Hence, every party need to stress out that the process involved in conduct of code COC and to achieve agreement on its content will not be giving any final settlement of claims, and it also will have a bad impact on the parties' dispute. And finally, the last content of the declaration is to invite all parties concerned to subscribe to this declaration of principles. The last content means that the declaration invites all of the countries in the ASEAN to sign this declaration. This is because once they sign this declaration will protect the country from others' interference. So as already stated in the slide, there are 5 countries, which is Brunei, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand that agreed to sign this declaration. In conclusion, there is no one solution to solve this dispute that happened in South China Sea. The ASEAN Declaration on the South China Sea is one of the way to ensure the naval happen between China and Vietnam will not happen again nowadays. So that's all from me. I am Noor Binti Roslan.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Noor Natasha Najwa binti Mohamad Saufi. So I will present about ASEAN Regional Forum. ASEAN Regional Forum was established during the meeting at Bangkok, Thailand after the end of Cold War. It is a multilateral forum which is for formal consultation and dialogue that consists of 27 members including 10 members of ASEAN, and the other countries are New Zealand, Korea, Vietnam and other strong nations. 7 of the other countries is actually observer for this forum. Okay. The forum is actually attended by all strong countries in the Asia Pacific for discussing in order to minimize threats to regional stability and security. Okay, next we move to the ARF objective. The first one is to foster confidence through consideration and dialogue session within this country. Okay, communication, dialogue means communication or conversation between each member of country, which is they will discussing about the issue and problem that facing by them. Through the dialogue session, they can get the confidence to tell about their country's problem within the forum. So when they get the confidence, they will not afraid to tell what are their problem facing by them, in order to getting the together the solution with different ideas. The example of problem that we discuss is security operation, rescue, disaster, tsunami and also earthquakes. Okay, for example, ARF have giving support in military medicine and also ARF disaster relief towards to Myanmar. The second one is to develop dialogue and consultation on political and security issue that are of mutual interest. Okay, the security issue is such as drug trafficking, piracy, terrorism and smuggling. So they will discuss on consultation in order to resolve the political issue. In order to success of ARF, their members should be full and balanced participant in the forum. Through the dialogue, it can enhance the transparency, trust and understanding. Other than that, it also can enhance the peace and harmony because they are not use of force and threat of violence in order to solving the problem and also to preventing the conflict. For example, is they strengthen the defense minister from China, South Korea and Japan to enhance mutual trust. So from that, they can get the constructive dialogue between them. That's all from me.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Emylin Hanis binti Ermi and I will present about the Sean WFZ. What is Sean WFZ? Sean WFZ stands for Southeast ASEAN Nuclear Weapon Zone. It begins on 27 November 1971 when it was only 5 members of ASEAN signed a declaration which is offered in Kuala Lumpur. Okay. But due to the unfavorable political environment in the region, the formal proposal for the establishment was tabled in the middle of 1980. Okay. For the third point, Sean WFZ was signed by all of ASEAN members in Bangkok on 15 December 1995. This is after a decade of negotiating and drafting effort by ASEAN Working Group. Okay, next, they cannot develop or manufacture of or possess the power of control nuclear weapons, store or transmit nuclear weapons in any way, or test or use nuclear in Southeast Asia. ASEAN countries also agreed that they will not allow any country to do all of that except for shipping purpose. They are also responsible for not disposing the radioactive on land, air, and sea. Okay. Nowadays, ASEAN in the process of negotiating with France, Russia, United Kingdom, and United States, which are four of the five international countries that recognize arms manufacturers. Okay, the last, China is the fifth country that agreed with the agreement and signed the protocol. Okay, next, disadvantages. For the first is, nuclear weapons is a weapon of mass destruction, WMD. What is WMD? WMD is a nuclear, radiological, chemical, biological, or any other weapon that can kill and bring serious harm to human and can cause a big damage. Okay. The example is bombing at Nagasaki and Hiroshima, which the war is between Japan and United States. As a result, the country of Japan was damaged and a thousand of dead. The example is bombing at Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, which the war is between Japan and United States. The result, Japan lost 1,000 dead and get the skin disease because of nuclear radiation. And because of this, World War II has ended because Japan has declared surrender. Okay. For the second point is nuclear weapon may create regional arms race and military development. This is because the country which has enough weapon and nuclear have power to attack other countries anytime. Also, where they have enough weapon and nuclear, it will make their country become a military country. For the example is China. From the era Zedong, China has sought to develop their nuclear weapons technology to strengthening diplomacy with 270 nuclear missiles recorded. Okay, for the third point is nuclear weapons can be used as a bargaining power or sources of de facto power. De facto means one which has grabbed power by force. This is because they have sufficient weapons and nuclear that make them dominate others country. For example, the war between Palestine and Israel, where Israel have sufficient weapon and nuclear that can attack Palestine. Okay. For the last disadvantages is nuclear weapons can be associated to environmental pollution or environmental degradation. It means the country will damage and get many bad effects because of the weapon and nuclear. As I said in point 1, where the Japan lost the thousands of human and their country was damaged. So that's all from me.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Sabrina Binti Zakaria. Today I will explain to you guys about ASEAN Charter. What is ASEAN Charter? ASEAN Charter is an agreement or a form for nation for the ASEAN members to do any activities or it's a way for them to do activities or program. So the content of the ASEAN Charter are basically about politics, economy and security. And the ASEAN has become legally binding agreement within 10 members of ASEAN. This charter is a new ASEAN Charter is a new solution for them to make a solution that has been
solve regional conflict, and this ASEAN Charter idea established during 11th ASEAN Summit, which is in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and has been signed in Singapore in 13 ASEAN Summit, which is in Singapore. So the objective of the ASEAN Summit is to unite Southeast Asian nations in one single unity and to ensure that people and members of ASEAN live peace in democratic and harmonious environment. So we move to the fundamental principle. Fundamental principle is one of the content of the ASEAN Charter, which is the first one is shared commitment and collective responsibility in enhancing regional security and prosperity. What is shared commitment? Shared commitment can be defined as the ASEAN members sit together and share the problem that occur in their area, in their countries, and they will try to help each other by giving opinions. For example, basically they will discuss about three things, which is about education, health, and security. For example, they discuss about security. As we all know, people know that ASEAN country is one of the terrorist countries. Okay, now we move to the next, which is fundamental principle. Okay, the first fundamental principle is shared commitment and collective responsibility in enhancing regional security and prosperity. Shared commitment and collective responsibility. Shared commitment can be defined as ASEAN countries share the initiative on how to promote regional peace and harmony. In order to ensure that the peace and harmony of the country, ASEAN leaders have been discussing about the way to ensure this peace and harmony can be promoted in ASEAN country. Basically, they tend to discuss about education, about health, and about security. They will discuss for example, in education, they will discuss on how to ensure that their citizens can get a good education for health, like health and security. As we all know that ASEAN country known as terrorist state. So they sit together and they discuss how to solve this problem. So next we move to the second point, which is respect for fundamental human rights, freedom, and upholding the international law. Human rights are fundamental for all human beings, and to tackle human rights issue is need to face by all ASEAN members. So what they do to ensure that human right and freedom can be, but to ensure to respect the fundamental human right freedom, they sign one declaration, which is Declaration of Human Rights. So what is the content of the Declaration of Human Rights? Is there's the right of the people to choose the religion, the races, the political, and they have the right to be protected by the law itself. And the third one is adherence to the rules of law, the principle of democracy, and constitutional government and governance. Adherence means follow, which is in Malay words we say as patuh. Means patuh kepada the constitution itself and the democracy concept. For example, if ASEAN member want to do something, they want to do programs or activities that related with activities for the ASEAN members, including Malaysia. Malaysia has the right for not to do that things, because if the program contradict the constitutions and the democracy concept, because we all know that the constitutions in Malaysia is we all know that constitution have their own legitimacy, so we need to follow constitution, constitution. And the last point is respect the various culture, language, and also the faith of the individuals of the associations, whereas emphasizing their common values within the spirit of unity in diversity. all know, ASEAN, we have 10 ASEAN members, which is Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, Indonesia, Philippines, Myanmar, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and Thailand. Every of each country have their own culture, language, and religion, and ASEAN does not have any right to interfere with their interests in terms of culture, religions, and language. However, in order to make sure that all these ASEAN members are united, they introduce the new program, which is Declarations of ASEAN Unity in Cultural Diversity. This is to ensure to strengthening the ASEAN community, and the relationship between the ASEAN. That's all from me. Thank you. In conclusion, there are 6 efforts that have been done to ensure to maintain the stability and the peace of the